Ocarina of Time's Fire Temple is one of the most significant temples in all of Hyrule. Today we'll be taking an in-depth look at the lore behind these ignited walls to uncover its origins. The Fire Temple is situated at the peak of Death Mountain, a long-active volcano and the ancestral home of the Goron tribe, a rock-eating people known for their strength, craftsmanship, and communal solidarity. According to Ocarina of Time and corroborated by Hyrule Historia, the Gorons have long inhabited this mountainous region, drawing sustenance from its minerals and reverence from its geothermal power. The Fire Temple, nestled at the volcano's core, serves not merely as a dungeon in gameplay terms, but as a ritual site, a sacred place where the Gorons historically engaged in spiritual rites related to the Great Fire Spirit, a divine presence later perverted by Ganondorf. The temple's importance is further emphasized through its connection to Darunia, the Goron chieftain and later the Sage of Fire. His personal relationship with the temple, both as a place of ancestral reverence and as the site of his people's imprisonment, adds a layer of emotional and political gravity to the dungeon. As with the other elemental temples, the Fire Temple falls under Ganondorf's control after he claims the Triforce of Power. In this case, the desecration is particularly direct. Ganondorf imprisons the entire Goron population inside the temple, intending to sacrifice them to Volvagia, a fire-breathing dragon that once terrorized their ancestors. This transformation of a spiritual sanctuary into a site of slaughter represents a profound violation of cultural and religious autonomy. The Fire Temple thus becomes an allegory for colonial exploitation and cultural genocide. What was once a space of ritual and unity is now a mechanism of terror and erasure. The dungeon's design reflects this duality. While the temple retains its symmetrical, monumental architecture, suggesting its original sacred function, it is now filled with lava pits, iron grates, and industrial elements that emphasize its repurposing as a death trap. The juxtaposition of ceremonial halls and torture devices suggests that Ganondorf's reign is not just a military conquest, but a cultural occupation. At the core of the Fire Temple lies Volvagia, a serpentine dragon of flame and smoke. According to Darunia, this creature once plagued the Gorons in ancient times and was sealed away long ago, likely by previous Goron heroes or sages. Ganondorf's resurrection and control of Volvagia is therefore doubly symbolic. Not only is he resurrecting a literal monster, but also the trauma of past oppression. Volvagia's presence is also significant in that Link must reclaim an ancestral Goron weapon, the Megaton Hammer, to defeat the beast. The act of utilizing traditional knowledge and tools to liberate the oppressed reflects broader themes of restoring cultural memory and reclaiming autonomy. The confrontation with Volvagia is not merely a boss fight, but a ritual reenactment of historical resistance. Darunia's transformation into the Sage of Fire following the temple's purification reinforces the Fire Temple's role as a crucible of political and spiritual awakening. As chieftain, Darunia represents Goron leadership and tradition. As a sage, he becomes a transfigured guardian of Hyrule's cosmic balance. His willingness to enter the temple alone to confront Volvagia is both an act of heroic martyrdom and a reclaiming of Goron agency. From a structural perspective, the Fire Temple serves as the midpoint in Link's adult journey, deepening the stakes of his quest. It is the first temple in which the consequences of Ganondorf's tyranny are shown not in abstract environmental decay, but in the suffering of a living population. The Goron's captivity introduces moral urgency, positioning the hero's actions within the context of liberation and restorative justice. The Fire Temple's aesthetic design contributes significantly to its symbolic weight. The dungeon features towering stone columns, magma-filled chambers, and rhythmic percussive music, altered in later versions due to religious chanting in the original. These elements create a liturgical atmosphere, evoking images of ancient ritual fires and temple sacrifice. The oppressive heat and ambient noise convey both danger and spiritual intensity. The temple's architecture, symmetrical, circular, and often resembling megalithic altars, supports the interpretation of the dungeon as a former ceremonial space. The need to manipulate fire, raise platforms, and use the Megaton hammer to activate mechanisms all reinforce the sense that the player is engaging with an environment built for ritual and reverence, now corrupted for evil purposes. The Fire Temple is more than an action-oriented dungeon. It is a site of cultural memory, spiritual disruption, and political resistance. Through its architectural language, enemy design, and narrative framing, the temple articulates themes of desecration, ancestral trauma, and redemption. Its liberation is not only a step in Link's journey, but a restoration of dignity to the Goron people and a reclamation of sacred space. As with other elemental temples in Ocarina of Time, the Fire Temple exemplifies how interactive spaces in video games can serve as vehicles for storytelling, cultural allegory, and symbolic transformation.